Welcome to the demo of the Avaz app, the newest version, which is 6.6. So the Avaz app is an AAC app that is available both on the iOS and on Android platforms. It helps users communicate their wants, needs, thoughts, ideas, all things that they want to. And to give you some background, Avaz is a Hindi word that means voice. So it's quite apt for the app. And unlike the popular myth, it can be used both by users that are nonverbal and those that are verbal as well. So let's get started with looking at the app.
And when we open it up, it opens into the home screen. So as you can see, the app has both a picture mode and a keyboard mode that is available. And the picture mode,
Pictures.
You can tap and make a sentence, for example.
Want. Eat. Chips.
And in the keyboard mode, we can type a sentence in this way.
Hi.
Hi. All right. So as you can see, let's go into the advanced folder. As you can see, all of the pictures are in different color backgrounds, right? So the backgrounds are based on a color code called the Fitzgerald key. So this concept is that the words that fit into the different word categories, or the classes of words like nouns, verbs, etc., they all have different colors. For example, as you can see, verbs or action words like go are in green.
Go.
And the more descriptive ones are in blue.
Different.
And if you scroll further and see, like nouns will be in orange. And the reason why this color code is used in the app is, one is it helps the users who use the app to remember where the different categories are and what they fit into. So it really helps their understanding and really helps them to access the different words that are there within the app. So this is why we use the color code. And as you can see on the side, let's go back. There is a brown bar which has go back, home, quick, search, mistake. This is called the navigation bar. And on top of that, we have the menu. Now, this is a new feature that we've added, like where new function, where all of the settings or changes that we would need to do all fit into one space, which is the menu. And under that, we have all of these functions too. And the top portion, which is the white rectangular box on the top, is called the message box, where you have some functions on there too, which is like speak, where it will speak all of the words, but also, let's try that again. You have delete, which will delete one word.
Delete.
And clear, which will clear all of it, right? And one more thing that we have in the message box itself is the function share, which helps us to transfer the messages out of the app, right? So let's say we want to share a message. We want to share a message outside of the app through different platforms like the Gmail or through messages. We are able to do that in this way as well. So this is about the basic layout of the app, or the front layout of the app. Now let's delve in and see what other features are there. Now, as you can see on the side, there is a navigation bar, and there are different functions that we can put into it, as we'll see later in the settings. But for now, the go back means it, just like in the phone, it helps you go back to the different screens. The home means it'll come back into the home page. And quick is the quick folder, which takes you to the quick folder of the Avaz. And this is a folder where we have some of those messages and phrases that are already made so that it helps the Avaz user communicate really fast or really quickly what they want to say, right? So all of those information fits into the quick. And then we
Search.
have search. We'll go into this in more detail, but it helps us find the words that we're looking for, and it tells us where they are on the app. And mistake, it gives a pre-recorded message, which is I made a mistake. So
I
if you
made
tap
a
on it,
mistake.
it will say I made a mistake, and that helps the user to alert the communication partner who they are communicating with that, oops, I made a mistake and I need to start over. So these are some of the functions of the items on the navigation bar. Now we are going to look at the different settings that are available within the app. Some settings we'll go into in quite detail, but the others we'll just go through quite quickly just for the sake of today's demo. So if we go into the menu, and within there, if we go into settings, that's where we have access to all of the settings. Now let's start from number 1. So for the message box under picture settings, some users may require the message box, but if they don't, we are easily able to turn it off in this way. So if I turn it off, what will happen is the layout will just show you all of the words, and there will be no message box where all of the information that you've typed in will be available separately. So for those users who may require this approach, we can easily turn it on and off. Let's go back. Now, for some of the users who may need more focus on the spellings, more focus on the text, we can always turn off the pictures in the message box, which will make the words look something like this. So if I tap on stop,
Stop.
it won't show me the word stop in the picture up there in the message box. It will just show me the text for the word. So for those users that require more of a focus on the text, we can use this function. Now coming into grid size or pictures per screen, we recommend to all of the families that get started to start with a higher grid size than lower. For example, right now my screen is set to 24 pictures, and that is a really good place to start from. The reason behind this picture size recommendation is that when you keep the pictures per screen lower than this, it tends to affect the motor pattern of the layout of the Avaz. So for example, if the children are aware of where the pictures are in the screen and they know how to access it, if we would reduce the numbers to, let's say, 3 pictures per screen, which looks something like this, that means that the pictures would be in different positions in every folder that we go to, and that would be too confusing. Hence, we would recommend that you keep it at a higher pictures per screen so that in every folder they go to, all of the words are in similar locations. The other reason that helps the pictures per screen recommendation is that at one point, our users are able to access more vocabulary than less. For example, in one look at the screen right now, I have only 3 words available to me to communicate with my partner. But if I were to increase it, then I would have more. So that's another thing that happens with the picture size. If we are not keeping it high enough, it is limiting our user from having lots of vocabulary to use for communication. So we would recommend that you start with 24 and move higher than 24, unless otherwise there is a motor impairment from the user that is preventing them from accessing. Only in that case, we would recommend that you keep it lower than 24. So that's about the grid size. Next, going to the text size. Now, by default, this is kept at medium. But for those users who may not need the text, right, or who need text, more focus on the text, you can always change things around. Same goes for text position. By default, it appears on top of the picture, as we can see. But if needed at the bottom, we can always change it at the bottom. Now theme, coming to the theme, right now as a default, it is set as light or classic, which means that the background of the words is a light color. But for those users that require a higher contrast, like those with visual challenges, we can always change a dark contrast in this way. So if we go into theme and if we tap on dark, then what would happen is the screen has a dark tint to it at the back, And so that helps the picture stand out a bit more. So for those users that need it, we can use this function. I'm just going to set it back to light. All right. Now, sometimes for some users, having the navigation bar functions on the right side as such may be difficult, because either they may want to access it from the left because of different motor impairments, or motor challenges. So in that case, we can even change the position of the whole navigation bar. So if we want it on the left, we can have it in this way. I'll just show you that. So it's all on the left, as you can see, right below the keyboard on this side. But also what we can do is select what are the functions that we want to have in the navigation bar. So there's lots of flexibility in terms of the navigation bar with this new update of the Avaz app. So according to your child's preference, you can set it. At the moment, it is set in this way, but we can also, for example, if I want to have core words instead of quick, in my navigation bar, I can change things around, and it's easily adaptable in this way. All right. Now let's go back into the settings. Now we are going to move on to the picture settings behavior, right? Now coming to enlarge word on selection, this is a function of the Avaz app that is on by default, where when you tap on a word, it zooms in this way. I'll just show you. So it becomes bigger, zooms out and zooms back in. Now, for those users who this visual feedback is needed, we can have it on, and that gives them that extra processing time. But for those users that is not required, we can always turn it off. So we have that capability. Now coming into the home screen vocabulary, this can be changed depending on the level of the user that we are working with, right? So if they are just starting out, then you would want to set it to root screen, so you have access to all of the folders, or maybe you want to set it to basic. But for those users that are a bit more advanced, you can set it to advanced, and that means that as soon as you open up the app, it opens into the advanced folder. There is no home screen like we saw earlier. So this can be altered depending on what level your user is at. I'm going to change it back. All right. Now, auto home each time. Now, this is a function that we have available for those users who want to get back to the home screen after every word that they have typed. So usually this is turned off, but for those who may need it, we can turn it back on. Now, the next function we're going to talk about is the swipe action to navigate. So what we mean by swiping is it's the scrolling that we do on the app, right? Now, for those users who have challenges with being able to do the scrolling function, we can turn this off. And what will happen is we can go back into the change navigation bar and turn on the functions of previous and next page, right? So what this does is it gives us two buttons in our navigation bar that helps us navigate instead of doing the scrolling. We can have a look. So I've turned that on. And now what will happen is, as you can see, there is a up and a down. And so that helps me move from screen to screen without using any scrolling. So for those students that may have that challenge, we can enable this function. For now, we will turn it off. The next thing in the picture settings is grammar. Now, for those users who you want to be able to teach those nuances of grammar, we can always turn this setting on. So if we go into grammar and turn it back on, it gives us a few hints as to how we can correct and make a more grammatically meaningful sentence. Now, let's say, for example, I want to say want, but I want to teach about past tense. So what happens when I tap on want is it gives me a little cross or a plus mark on the word. Now, if I tap into that, it gives me more options for how I can add grammatical aspects to my sentence. Let's say we want to teach past tense. I will change it into wanted and continue having the conversation. So grammar is a very useful feature for those students who are learning those finer aspects of language. Now, for now, we will turn it back off. Now moving on to the keyboard settings. So this is what the keyboard looks like, what the keyboard that is there on the app looks like. So again, we have on top the message box. The next set of words, or the next panel that we can see, are the words that are predicted for us. And then of course we have a QWERTY keypad, and then we have some functions down at the bottom called favorites and save. We will go through them one by one. Now, when looking at the settings for keyboard, if we go into layout, like I said, we have a QWERTY keyboard. For those users that need the ABC keyboard, we can shift things around. And prediction is a feature that is useful for users who have difficulty with spellings or difficulty with completing their sentences. So let's say, for example, we are typing a sentence. We'll come back to the screen. Yes, so we are typing the word tree, right? But I'm not too sure of the spelling, but I remember it starts with T and starts with R. Now, what the app will do on its own, because the prediction is turned on, it will give me all of these words in the prediction tab. Can you see? So there is try, trying, true, treatment, tree. And if we use the little arrow mark, it keeps showing me more words with the TR spelling. So this prediction is really helpful for those students who have difficulty with spelling. And that way I don't need to remember all of the spelling in the word, all of the letters. But if I remember some, Avaz will predict it for me, and then I can just choose and complete my sentence. Now, let's say we want to do write a sentence. So if I say I
space
want, maybe you want to say I want you. So then, as you can see, you is already predicted for me to complete the sentence. I want you to know that. So in this way, even if it is to complete a sentence, it gives you the words that can be predicted. So it uses the technology to figure out what sentence you might be trying to say, and it gives you the options for you to complete it. So in this way, prediction is really useful for those text-based users or those with working on the literacy skills to help complete their words and sentences. Okay, let's go back into the settings. So those are the two keyboard settings that we have available. Now, the thing about the keyboard mode that I would like to highlight to you is this feature called the favorites. So favorites is where we have some pre-stored words and sentences that that are there by default, but that we can also add and have a collection of words and sentences that the user may need to complete their communication immediately, right? Let's say, for example, they want to say the sentence,
I want to use the restroom.
I want to use the restroom. So if these sentences are pre-made and saved within the favorites folder, we are able to access them really quickly. And they can also be edited, as you can see, and we can also add in sentences that are more specific to the user that you are working with. So this is another great aspect of the keyboard mode. All right, so we'll head back into the settings and complete the rest of the settings that we were looking at. So after keyboard settings, we have audio settings. Now, voice, Avaz does mean voice, and we want all of our users to have voices that sound very much like their own. So as you can see, under default voices, there are many language options available. Like, for example, right now I have chosen English India, and I've chosen a female voice. And we're also, for example, able to alter the speed with which they speak. We're able to alter the pitch, and we have quite a few options available. So do use this feature of the app to set a voice that is most appropriate for your users, so it feels very much like their own. Now, coming back into the audio settings, what to speak. Now, this can be altered again based on the level of the user that you are working with. Right now, it is set to speak everything. But for those users that may just need limited verbal feedback about what they are hearing, then we can just put it on to either just speak words or speak only message box. And there is another function called the speak action keys, which means that it will speak even the words like go back, go home, all of the functions that we are doing on the Avaz. So again, depending on the amount of feedback that your user needs, you can either turn on or turn off some of this audio feedback. Next, coming into the general settings, under this we have shared messages. So this has been turned on. Now what this helps with is, let's say for example, we are going into quick, we're having wishes. Similar to what was said before, if you want to send a happy birthday message, we can hit share and we can send the message outside of the app. So it sends like a normal text message or it sends an email and you can share it with all your contacts. So in this way, the share is useful to develop much more of that social communication. Now, password protection, this is a feature that can be done to lock or set passwords for certain parts of the app, like for example, the editing or the backups. So some of our users in their attempt to explore the app may tap on the edit settings, may tap on some other settings and create changes to the app. So in order to prevent those and to prevent any loss of data, you can set passwords and you can note them down. And so you as the parent or the therapist working with the child will be the one having access to those parts of the app. So we are able to set password protection for that. And then auto clear message box. So this is turned on at the moment, which means that as soon as I tap the message, it clears the message box for me. But if you want the messages to stay back on there in the message box so that the user can view it, you can turn it off and keep having your communication going. Now, backup, this is another important part of the settings because, we will be creating lots of changes, lots of customization. And we want to have access to that no matter what happens to the app. Like suppose it's not working one day or it's damaged. Just so that we have all of our data stored in a safe place, we can do a backup and we have the option to link it to Dropbox and store the backup in the cloud settings and have it available to retrieve at any point. So you just do create new backup and you can type in the date as it is already given, and if you say okay, it gets saved in one point, right? In this way. All right. Now, heading back into the settings, the last one before we finish off the settings is the support. So again, troubleshooting is common with any technology, but we have help available for you right within the app itself. So either you can contact us or you can have access to us through email. You can look at our FAQs on our website. So we have lots of options available to you. So don't fret if something goes wrong. We're here to help you out. So those were some of the settings that we wanted to introduce all of you to. Now the next section of the demo will be learning more about the customization and learning more about how to build the app for your user. So there is another feature in the menu itself called the sound. So for those users that cannot access the volume up and down buttons on their particular device, they can use the volume up and volume down buttons that are given here. So just by tapping on these, they are able to shift the volume or even mute it, right? So this is another feature that we have created to help those users who find some of those motor functions difficult. Okay, so the next section of the demo is the learning about more about the picture mode. So we'll just look into some of the folders and see what vocabulary we have available to us. Let's say, for example, if we look into the eat, we have words and folders that look something like this. And let's go back. And if we look into the actions folder, we have vocabulary available to us in this format, right? Now, let's say I want to model one of my users' feelings, and the word I'm looking for is frustrated, but I can't see it at one go. And that's the reason why we have the search option available to us, right? So if I go into search, and if I type the word frustrated, and if I click on that, it takes me to the path that is available. And it highlights the word in such a way that I'm able to access it quite easily. So, don't worry that you can't find where a word is. You have multiple ways to go and access it. And you can even access search within the menu over here. So menu, search. It brings you to the same place, right? So search is a great feature for when you are starting to use the app and you're not sure where things are. Now, let's go to the next section, which is customization. So customization is a big part of using the Avaz app. We want all of our users to have a personalized Avaz app to suit their needs. So in order to do so, we have to create some changes. As you can see, there's lots of vocabulary that is already available in the app by default. But if that's not enough for all of your needs, you can always change things around. So what we're going to look at today is adding a folder really specifically for one user. Now, let's say we are talking about going to a restaurant and having some food. Now, I want to add a folder specifically for that. So to create any changes at all within the Avaz app, the first place that you have to go to is the edit, right? So we go into menu, we go into edit. And once we go into edit, then we have some more options available to us. Now, as you can see in the top left corner, we have add new. So when I tap on add new, I have again three options available to me. So I can add a new word, I can add a new folder, or I can add many words at once. For now, we are going to add a folder. And let's say the restaurant that you want to go to or you want to have conversations about is Sarvana Bhavan. Okay, this is a South Indian restaurant. And there are 4 ways to access pictures when we add a new word, right? So symbols means it accesses Avaz's library of stick symbols. So these are around 65,000 symbols that are already available to us, from which we can explore and add the one that's more suitable. But for things that are more personalized, like for example, when we are adding a picture for the word Saravana Bhavan, you may not find it in the default vocabulary. So we have the second way to access pictures, which is through the internet. So if I tap on the internet option, when I look for find pictures, it searches Google images for us, and it again gives us more options to explore. So let's say we're going to explore and find more options. I think I like the first one to start with. So I'm going to go with this one. This somewhat looks like the picture that I'm aiming for, right? Now, let's say this also is not worked out and you want to take a picture of that particular restaurant that you go to, you can definitely do that. So you can go into camera and you can take a picture of the place or the restaurant and you can add it in from there. Now, maybe you've already taken a photo and it is in your gallery. Now, the function that is next to the camera right at the end. So we have symbols, we have internet, we have camera, and then we have these 2 squares, which is the files icon, which means you can easily access the files that are within your device. And from there, if you have a picture, you can add it in there too. So right now I'm happy with adding this. So I'm going to go ahead and save. And another feature that I want to highlight to you, when we were talking about the color code, the Fitzgerald color key, Avaz usually does this by default and can put in a place, but for words it's not recognizing. You might have to change the word type and put it according to the picture that you're adding. So let's say, for example, let's go into word type right down here at the bottom, and I'm adding a place. So places are in purple, so I'm just going to change that. And that means that the background for each picture that I'm adding is going to be appropriate and in matching with the color key. So now that I've added it, now I want to add words inside it, because as of now, this folder is empty, right? Now again, I go back into add new, and I say I want to add one word. So maybe the user that I'm working with really loves the food idli, right? So I'm going to go in, add idli. Now, what you can see is it's taken from the internet and added a picture for me for idli. Now I'm happy with that, but if not, you can use this arrow that is on the side and check for other pictures. Now we will add that in. Now, suppose you know already that you have to add multiple words, right? Like you have an idea of all the items that may be available at Sarvana Bhavan and you want to add them at one go. But if you had to use the add new and the word, that would mean that it would take a lot of time to go one by one and add all of the words on its own. So that's why we have many words at once, which means that I just have to separate these words by commas, and I can add as many words that I want at one go, and then all of them gets added at once for me. So we'll just have a look at that. So I want to add other breakfast items. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Then if I give save, it adds all of them at the same time for me. Now, I'm happy with what the pictures look like, but what do the pictures sound like? So let's listen to them.
Waiter.
So at the moment, the way that Avaz in its default voice is saying the word vada is Veda,
Waiter.
right? Now I want to change how this sounds, because a lot of times we may have to add things that may not have the right pronunciation by the Avaz. So we have the opportunity to then change the voice and put in our own recording of a voice, right? Now, how do we do that? Now we've already added the words in. Let's go back. And as I said, if you have to make any changes, you have to go into edit. And now we tap on the word that we want to change, right? So right now I'm going to tap on vada. And now, as you can see on top, we have a whole host of new options for what we can do. So I want to change, so I'm going to tap on change. And right now, if you can see in the change we can see speak as. And if you tap on this little speaker icon, it will speak the word as it is right now. But the red circular icon that is right next to that helps me record my own voice and put in my pronunciation of the word that I would like. Right? So right now I'm going to record my voice saying the word. So if I tap on it, it starts recording. And when I finish, I can tap on it again and I'm be done. Vada. Now, if I'm happy with it, I can hold on to it and save it. If not, as you can see next to the red circle, there is a little garbage can out icon, and that helps us delete it and start over again. I'm going to listen to it. Okay, hold on. Vada. Okay, so it's playing. You can't hear the sound. I think it's playing it too softly, but it's recorded my own voice and it's playing that back for me. Right now, in this way, using the recording option for whatever words need to be in a different voice or a different pronunciation, we can always add that in and change things around. All right, so we've looked at how to make changes to the pictures. We've looked at how to make changes to the voice. Now what we're going to do, let's say, for example, your user's favorite item is dosa, and you want to keep that as the first option that they look at when they open up this folder. So we can easily change the position of the words by tapping on whichever word it is, holding on to it, and then shifting its position in this way. So we are able to create very flexible changes with the layout, and you just have to drag and drop to wherever you need it in this way. Now, let's say, for example, on that particular day, you've gone into the restaurant and you know that one particular item is not available. So instead of having that option deleted, you can always hide it, right? So if you delete, that means that you'll have to start all over again and add the word. But if you hide, that means that it's just hidden from you, but it's still there within the app. So how do we hide it? Again, we tap on the word that we want. And then as you can see on top, we have hide available. So if I hide it in this way and then I close the editing, you can see idli, the word that I hid, has been hidden. Now we can easily put this back. You just have to do the same functions again, menu, edit. And then if I tap on the word and if I say show, it shows me the word all over again. So we are able to hide it from view and bring it back into view as per our need. Now let's say at some point we want to select multiple things, we can do it, or even we can use the select all, and we can make sure that all of these words can be selected at one go. Now, all right. Now let's say, for example, I want to have idli in the Sarvana Bhavan folder, but I also want to have it in my lunch and dinner folder because that's something that we may be having at that time as well. So that's why we have the copy and the paste option available to us. We can copy and paste any of these words into the location that we want. So if I tap on copy, then if I go back, go into lunch and dinner, then if I tap paste, as you can see, idli has come in here, right? So in this way, we can easily copy paste items to wherever we need it to be. Let's go back into our folder. All right, so we've looked at a lot of different functions with how we can change the look of how things are. Now, as you would have seen when you were doing the copy and paste, or let's say even the editing, when you say delete, there is an option for you to do undo, and within 10 seconds you have the capability to undo the action that you have done. So as soon as you tap on, let's say, delete or copy and paste, you have a little message box that comes down there for you, that looks like a notification that comes down there for you saying undo. Let's just do that again. Watch the bottom of the screen, and if I hit on undo, it easily undoes. It does an undo of whatever I wanted to delete, right? So we have a delete, but also have an undo in case we did it by mistake. All right, now I think we've had a good look at all food related functions of how to make changes. Now let's have a look at one of the different folders. Now let's say you want to send a folder to a different device, or maybe you want to send it to a therapist or to a teacher. You can easily do that in this way. So we are going into body, we are going into pain. Let's say, one of the person or the individual that you are working with on the Avaz app has a lot of pain, and you want to be able to give access to this particular folder at any context that they go to. So you can easily share the folder with them in this way. So let's say I've come to this folder, I want to go into menu, and then if I say edit, then if I say folder options right up here in the top corner, it gives me a couple of different options. So I can export and share the current folder in this way. And then if I say okay, it creates a folder for me, which then I can share through email, right? In this way. right? Now, if in case somebody sends you a folder, like maybe a therapist or a teacher sends a folder and you want to add it in, you can use the import option that's given down here to then import a folder or import a backup that you have available to you. So in this way, there is options to change or transfer the information from one device to the other. Now, coming to, let's say you want to have a copy of the app, but in a low tech way, right? In a more paper, in a paper format. You want to laminate it and you want to have it available to you just in case, the tab is not working, or for example, you want to go into a more surroundings where there may be water and you can't really use a device. So in any of those cases where using the device or using the gadget is not feasible, you can always take a low tech backup, a low tech version of it along with you. So for example, let's go into the play folder and into toys. You want to have a photo of all of the options that are there in the toys folder right next to your playroom in your house, right? So you can do a print using this folder, and let's see how to do that. We go into the folder and then we go into menu and then we go into tools this time. And how to create a printout is, first we have to create something called an Avaz book. So this is when we create an Avaz book, when we tap on that, it makes a PDF copy for us. And then we are easily able to share this PDF copy through email, right? So it creates a PDF like this, which then I can send to my printer using the share. And then print it out and either laminate it and stick it on the wall or use it during anytime communication that you need at home. So in this way, we can create backups of any of the folders on the Avaz, and we can have a copy of it with us whenever needed. All right, I think that brings us to the end of this demo. So that brings us to the end of this demo. And the best way to keep learning and keep familiarizing yourself with the app and all of its functions is to start using it. So once you start using it with your user, and once you have more and more practice by doing your modeling on a day-to-day basis, you will find that learning where things are and learning the different functions and settings will become a lot easier. But again, if something fails, there is support available to you, so please do reach out. All right, thank you.